Welcome to Ballers and Briefs, November the 29th, Week 12 recap and Week 13 Thursday Night Football, where the Seattle Seahawks, Coach Carroll goes to try to get some Big D and Big D against the Dallas Cowboys with Dak. So I got to say it. I'm going to go to the altar and say the Jags pulled it out. They're 8-3. I never would have thought I'd seen this in my lifetime, that they had at one point, they were the number one seed. Disgusting.
Crazy how bad they are, and yet they have such a good record.
Shots fired.
It's crazy.
Take the W's where you can get them.
Yeah, that's what they do, man. They squeeze out the dubs.
They still haven't played a complete game yet, so I guess from that standpoint, when they do, who knows what the things they can achieve.
Well,
it just seems like each week.
Trevor Lawrence over 25 points. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence over 25 points 2 days and 2 weeks in a row.
Fantasy, yeah, from a fantasy perspective, I would say definitely.
I think he was tired of hearing Phil talk shit. Like
he probably watches.
He probably like gets the y'all since y'all are close to Jacksonville. It probably shows up in the feed. Oh, these guys, these nobody guys down here talking shit about you, Trevor Lawrence. This little short guy out here talking shit, say you suck, and this other guy says he's on your fantasy. You're on his fantasy team, and you suck. I'm just like,
it does suck,
dude.
He can get 25 points all he wants, man. If you watch him play, he is not good. He's just not good. He'll never, ever, 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 and I stamp it, win a Super Bowl. Never. He does not have the potential. He doesn't have the talent. If I'm drafting a quarterback for an NFL team, I'm drafting the talent to win me a Super Bowl. That's what it's all about. He will never win a Super Bowl. He is absolute trash. You could put, like, that team is so solid everywhere else that's why he's able to do what he does. But if you were to, like, put him on, like, Denver or the the Browns or, you know, some other teams, he wouldn't even be getting 10 fantasy points. He'd be hurt, injured, and he would be sitting on the bench milking money.
I got to say, somebody that saw their kicker miss 2 kicks, which I don't think it was Amendola's fault. We cut his ass. He missed that first one. He should have made that shit. He just shanked the hell out of it. It looked like somebody out there golfing and just pulling it.
Sound familiar?
Yes, this guy.
Sounds familiar. It sounds like how the Saints lost to y'all.
Yeah.
So, now you see how it feels.
And then, but within, we had to kick a 58-yarder, and it binks off the crossbar. So I knew when they hit the crossbar from 58, I was like, we just weren't supposed to win this ball game. CJ did what CJ could do to try to win. I mean, 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, 304 passing yards. Like, what else can we do? You can't stop the other team. And then I'm gonna go out on a limb and say them refs were awful. Not just against us, but they were fucking terrible. There was calls against Jacksonville that shouldn't have been made. There was calls against us that should have been made. There was calls that should have been called on both sides. I'm just like, what the hell? Like, and then people were bitching and complaining about the Philly and the Buffalo game being shitty refs. And I'm like, them refs during the Jacksonville and the Houston game were just atrocious. Like, I'm like, that was a catch by Tank on the sideline. There was a catch, I think, that they didn't call on for Jacksonville that should have been a catch. There was the last series, CJ took a sack, should have been a horse collar tackle. I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? So, but I'm gonna give Jacksonville their flowers. Number 1 in the division, put us out of the playoff picture for a little bit. So,
same. My
I
Saints
walk
lost
away
the
from
playoff
it
picture.
thinking that that could be a potential matchup for the next couple of years. That, you know, you kind of look on your schedule to go, hey, you know, those 2 teams are playing each other. It might be a really good game. You know, as much as Phil has kind of trashed out Trevor Lawrence, he has taken this team to a playoff in the second-year run, and then on the verge of taking them to another playoff game. And
I think the team has done that.
Not Jaguars. It's been hard to to really, knock his success coming into the organization, seeing as how bad we were prior to him being on the team. I will say he does have the ability to make the offensive line look a little bit better. That offensive line isn't as up the par as you see on some of the other more explosive teams, like for instance, the offensive line for the 49ers. And so from that perspective, a good quarterback can make sort of mask some of the difficulties that you do have. Whereas if you're not mobile enough, just like with the Detroit, for instance, like Jared Goff style, you could see how that falls apart with certain defenses. So I also think that, again, I mean, he is in only year 3, and if you really think about it, he's only in year 2. The first year under the offense with Bevel just didn't fit him. And so we have to kind of give a little bit of understanding from that. But again, I mean, overall, that passing yard total was, I think, the 3rd highest in Jaguars history. So from that perspective, again, he's putting up the numbers now, I think, more than he has before, for the fact also that the game plan wasn't allowing to do that. If you notice, earlier in the year, they were running the ball a lot more, giving the ball to Trevor Etienne. It was only after the fact that couldn't get off the ground a little bit against Houston that they relied more on him. And so maybe you might see that a little bit more. I mean, we've seen that
brought Ridley back into the fold. It seems like he's getting the ball to Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk more than where he was for that gap, like where he wasn't doing anything. It was just kind of non-existent there. And now he's getting the ball to Ridley. And that hurts. Like, it hurts, So
I think he has a lot more.
I told you coming into the season, and I mean, I shit all up. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I told you he was in my top 4 quarterbacks in the league. Literally, I thought he was top 4 quarterback in the league. That's why I drafted him in fantasy. And he is starting to play now. One less competition, right? For top 4 in the league right now. Joe Burrow's out of here. So this season, you got Patrick Mahomes, Allen Hurts. Who's that 4th guy? Like, who's the 4th guy? And Trevor Lawrence is starting to show that, because to the fact of the matter, he's got a more complete team, better coaching staff than, let's say, like Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, poor dude, feels so fucking bad for him. When I saw the Panthers fire the coach, I was like, why the Panthers fire the coach? He's in year 1. This dude, Brandon Staley over here in LA, just milking dollar signs and running a team into the ground. They are fucking atrocious. Like, they're so bad. So bad. And I'm just like, you got a top tier talent quarterback, someone that could wing the ball like Matthew Stafford could at his peak, but also run the ball like he can. Like, dude, like, he broke off some runs against Baltimore the other night. I'm like, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want you to get the ball down the field, but I want you to get your ass down the field too. So, like, it's just the Chargers are just no. So in my mind right now, Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback, with all things considered, than Justin Herbert. And maybe that's just me reaching, but like, you got Trevor Lawrence, Lamar.
The fuck is wrong with you? There is absolutely no way on this earth are they even close to each other, dude. Trevor Lawrence is like 28th in the league at quarterback. Lamar Jackson is easily top 5. Easily.
I'm talking about full-on talent.
Full-on talent. For one, Trevor Lawrence cannot run the ball. Lamar
can run the ball.
No, he can't. That dude looks like Gumby when he tries to take off running the ball. No shot. He does not make plays like Lamar Jackson ever with the feet. Nor does he make plays throwing the ball like Lamar Jackson does. Nor has he came back from like deficits of like 30-0 and won by himself. Like doing it.
He literally did that against the Chargers last year in the playoffs.
No, they're not him. I literally watched him overthrow wide open people in the end zone last year in the playoffs. by like 20 feet that are wide open because he does not throw the ball. You're in no way, shape, or form on the same playing field. That dude is easily 28th, 27th quarterback in the league. If it wasn't for the players surrounding him, he wouldn't even be in question. They wouldn't even be winning games at all.
But
Look at their targets, man. They got Calvin Ridley. They got Christian Kirk, ETN.
Is Brock Purdy just also the same thing? He's just not a good quarterback. He's just based off of the players that's around him.
Exactly. You got Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk.
Can you say that? I mean,
offensive line.
Is that the same
Purdy's
for the Dolphins?
If you look at Purdy, he can actually throw the ball. Trevor Lawrence cannot throw the ball. Tua Tag can throw the ball. If you see a 60-yard pass from Tua, it's on the money to Tyreek every time. If you see a 60-yard pass from Trevor Lawrence, I guarantee it's 1 out of 10 catches. It's like 10 out of 10 for Tua. It's like 10 out of 10 for Purdy.
I think Phil doesn't watch the same Trevor Lawrence that we
I
watch.
think you were on the pace with me until last week when he beat your team. Because how many points was he getting fantasy-wise every week against bum-ass teams? Because he is a bum. There's so many weeks he was projected to be like a stout, and I'm over here calling it that this dude sucks, and he's getting 10s and 5s or whatever.
I'm just saying he's turned it around. I said at the beginning of the game, he's had 2 back-to-back.
What week are we on? 10?
This is 13. He's had 2 back-to-back.
So 11 other games don't count? 11 other weeks to just all of a sudden I had two great tests in school, and now I'm a straight A student? The fuck?
I'm just saying, I went into the season saying he was going to be top 4 quarterback in the league.
Top 28 at best.
No. You're saying there's 28 quarterbacks better, absolutely. 27 quarterbacks that are better than him.
Absolutely.
No.
On fantasy numbers and on all-around stats.
No
I'm seeing people talk about him being like MVP and shit. And I'm like, this dude is garbage. What is somebody seeing that I'm not seeing? They're not winning games because of him. If anything, they're losing games because of him. And now that he won 1 game because of himself, he's a straight A student. I got 1 A, and I'm straight A student, dude. I've been killing it in every class all year long. I got 1 A. No shot, dude. It's not even close. Not even close.
I can't get on the board with you with that one, buddy.
I named so many people in front of him. So for one, you compared him to Herbert. It's not even close. If Herbert had a defense, he's literally like averaging like 47 points a game, and his defense is allowing 48. Like, that's not even close, right? They're not even close.
In 50 games, he's won 22 or he's 20.
Yeah, but that's not his fault. He's a good quarterback. He's doing what he's supposed to do. It reminds me of the Saints when Drew Brees was scoring 40 points a game and we're losing because our defense was allowing 50 points a game. It didn't make Drew Brees a bad quarterback. It made our team bad because our defense sucked. So Herbert sucks. I mean, you're saying Herbert.
What you're saying though,
his team sucks.
What you're saying though, Phil, though, I mean, the Jaguars gave up 300 plus yards touchdown or 300 yards to CJ Stroud last week.
304.
He's doing it to everybody though.
4 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 rushing. So we were going to say, well, of the defense factor, well, then based off of those numbers, though, the defense technically wasn't there for the Jaguars, and the Jaguars still pulled the win out. So I mean, I get what you're saying, where the sample size is small, and I agree with that. But I don't know if he's necessarily the 28th best quarterback in the NFL.
I can't name 28 better than him.
I can.
Top 15 quarterback. It's just, again,
that's guys like,
and at the end of the
Josh
day, are we not basing people off of their win-loss records? I mean,
I'm not basing
this team is 8-3.
Also, no win-loss.
He can't get any credit for the team being 8-3. It's just a little disingenuous, a little bit. If that's the case, then again, the same thing. I think he's a better quarterback than Tua. I think he gives me more than what Tua gives.
You put Trevor Lawrence on the freaking Dolphins.
Franchise, I'm gonna build my franchise with Trevor Lawrence more than I would build.
Tua Tagovailoa cannot run the ball.
I'll name you who he's better than.
Trevor Lawrence, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle.
He's got Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk.
But is that
Tyreek Hill is on pace to be 2,000 yards?
Calvin
Tyreek Hill could
Ridley's
go to
not
any
played
team
a
and do
football
that, but
game
Tua
in a
Tag
year and a half.
Jalen Waddle too.
Christian Kirk was the 3 at Arizona prior to leaving. Evan Ingram was known for drops and was a first-round draft pick, busted New York Giants. I know that they're having productive career production. Zay Jones, same thing, was a 3 at best at the Raiders.
And with Buffalo, he was a dropout in Buffalo.
We're now saying
when you're the only wide receiver at a team, you're gonna
and
shine.
that's kind of hard a little bit.
Look at
for
DeAndre
me to say
Hopkins.
overall.
DeAndre Hopkins was voted maybe the best wide receiver in the league. He leaves his team and he doesn't do shit. Nothing. So the fact that somebody was a number 3 somewhere and now a number 1 doesn't mean that the quarterback made him a number 1. It doesn't mean that at all. Tyreek Hill's a number 1 no matter what team he goes to. He's a number 1 in Kansas City. But Jalen Waddle was a number 1 before Tyreek Hill came there. There were other people there. There was Devontae Parker was a number 1 there before they came there. So Tua is by far not even on the same playing field, in my opinion.
So by your estimation, is Tua a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts?
No.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts is probably number 1 in my book.
But
I'll tell you who Trevor Lawrence is better than and who I compare. This is who I compare Trevor Lawrence with. Ryan Tannehill, Andy Dalton, Colt McCoy, Matt Stafford. That is the level that Tannehill, that's the level that Trevor Lawrence is in my book. He's absolutely garbage. And we're going to see it time and time again. And you're going to come in here and say, Phil was right. He put the curse on Trevor Lawrence and blah, blah, blah. But the dude's never going to win you a Super Bowl.
He does win a Super Bowl.
That's right. Jags are going to trade him just like they did all their fucking stars that went and left and won Super Bowls.
He wins a Super Bowl. You're going to say he's a top 5 quarterback?
If he wins a Super Bowl, I'll tattoo his name on my body. That dude is not winning a Super Bowl. It's not even going to be close.
You heard it here first, folks.
He's not even going to be close, dude.
I don't want you to get a tattoo. I just want you to get a blonde mullet wig and wear it around the house for a whole
I'll wear a blonde mullet wig around the house all day long. But I already know it's not going to happen. It's not even close. The dude's not going to make it past first round playoffs like usual. So it's just what it is.
With that being said, your Saints got beat by the Falcons.
We lost the fucking
second playoff run. Just the facts.
We lost our fucking playoffs out too.
Trevor Lawrence is on pace to take his team to the playoffs for 2 consecutive years and win the division 2 consecutive
Who's in the division?
Houston, Indianapolis, and
he
Tennessee.
Can't choose who's in the division.
Houston. The only challenge, and that's this year. You'll just name Tennessee and who else?
Indianapolis.
Okay. I thought
Indianapolis is 6-3
coming out of a division like that. Look at like Dallas and the Eagles. That's a division to come out of. Back in the day, it was like Saints, Atlanta, and Carolina, all 3 in the playoffs. Like those were divisions that were hard to come out of and win Super Bowls. You're talking about a team that's got 2 teams in a division that can't win a game. They can't even.
You have 3 teams from the AFC North that are in the playoffs right now, which 2 of them have garbage fucking quarterbacks. One of them is starting a rookie that got his ass throttled on Sunday and was coughing up blood. They said it was a busted lip, but that looked like
he didn't see that coming. It's prime time.
Fucking chest caved in.
It's prime time.
So
it's probably a blood capsule. They told him to chew on the sideline.
It was during the day.
And throw the game, man.
So I'm just saying,
regardless, the Jags are coming out of a division that sucks. Houston's the only team that is good in there, and that was like a wake up to all of us. I didn't even know that was possible. So last year when y'all were trash, Indy was trash, and Tennessee was trash. So it's easy for Jags to come out of that division and go to playoffs. And then they got the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence is overthrowing people. He's missing targets. He's not even seeing wide open people. He's taking sacks.
I can't believe you're saying he's not better than like guys like Desmond Ritter and
they lost to the Super Bowl champions.
I'll give him better than Desmond Ritter.
It wasn't they lost to some random team. They lost.
That's what I would say too.
You think he's better than Geno? He's not better than Geno. He's not better than Aiden O'Connell, Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's better than Jimmy G. He's not better than Geno.
But the records stay different.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I got what I wanted out of this. Phil's going to wear a mullet wig if y'all win the Super Bowl, and I will wear one too.
I'm
Just
not
for
going to
that.
necessarily stamp a hat for a Super Bowl because they're in the same division with the guy who's probably the best player in the NFL and maybe considered one of the greatest of all time in Pat Mahomes. And you also got Joe Burrow also in the AFC. I mean, it's loaded. So to sit there and say that any team
Back to
can
my
guarantee
point.
a Super Bowl in a loaded AFC is hard. But then you can flip it to the other side and then say, well, look who Jalen Hurts has to go through in the playoffs this year. The only team they got who may compete is what? San Francisco? And you see
And
them
we're going to see
Dallas?
it. We're going to
Dallas?
see
them in
it
the
this
championship.
weekend.
Dallas?
So Dallas is a playoff team now. A
Yeah.
serious playoff team.
Dallas
Okay.
and them, they're also division
Okay.
rivals, so they're gonna play each other hard
All right.
regardless. So Philly
If
got to
you
worry
see
about
that.
Dallas. They got to worry about San Fran. They probably got to worry about Baltimore.
Dallas is beat up on a bunch of
Baltimore.
bottom feeders multiple weeks. They have not played anybody with a winning record in
I
one.
agree.
The last
But-
time I saw Dallas
they're a
play
division
real
rival.
team, they got blown out by the 49ers just like the Jaguars did. So I just, again, it's just.
But we're sleeping on
I can't
Baltimore
again say
too.
a Super Bowl.
Nobody's sleeping on
Well,
Baltimore.
We're
Baltimore
also
also
sleeping
has to
on.
go
We're also
through
sleeping on my
the
Saints.
Kansas City Chiefs.
We sleep.
You know,
Sleeping on my Saints, dog.
You got to
Hold up.
stop losing wide receivers. You got to stop
Yeah.
losing wide receivers is what you got
Well,
to do.
Mike
Saints
Thomas
gonna-
has a problem fighting people in the locker room, getting injured, and being useless.
And then Chris Olave gets concussed, and Rashid Shaheed gets hurt also. And now you're down to A.T. Perry and Lynn Bowden the third.
Well, we had every chance in the world to win like consecutive Super Bowls, but the refs literally were throwing those games for us. So now we're all
The
beat.
best player that's ever played for your team can't even throw with his throwing hand anymore. Poor guy.
Who?
Drew Brees. He can't even throw with his
yeah,
right
I know
arm.
he's having problems.
He has to throw with
I
his
thought
left
you were
hand.
gonna say Derek Carr there for a second. I was like,
No.
who? Don't
No,
say
the best. I
Derek
said the
Carr.
best. I said the best player to ever play for your team.
I think
Drew
Derek
Brees.
Carr is better than Trevor Lawrence. And I don't like Derek Carr at all. And I told you that when we drafted him, that I didn't want his bitch ass on the Saints, and I thought he sucked. And I think he's better than Trevor Lawrence.
At the top last year or the year before, I would have said that.
No, now, too. Now. He's better than him now. He can hit a pass downfield. Trevor Lawrence cannot. Trevor Lawrence can hit you 30 yards, 20 yards. 30 might even be stretching it. Trevor Lawrence is not hitting you on a deep bomb 1 out of 10 times. Doesn't matter if it's Tyreek Hill back there. 1 out of 10 times.
Man, this is a heated debate, but let's just move into actually what we like to talk about, which is a little
That
bit of fantasy.
motherfucking Millie winner, because it wasn't me.
It wasn't me either, but
It was Brad. Brad owes us $1 million.
Yeah, Brad, you won the million, right?
Brad,
So,
you won the million?
No.
So
Crazy.
it goes with one of those top tier quarterbacks that got his ass beat. Josh Allen was the quarterback. 15% owned. That's a little bit high for a quarterback, I would think.
Dude, I did the 20 max this week, which I usually don't do. On the main slate, like I like to do it on like showdowns and afternoon onlys, but like the main slate at 20 max, I did CJ Stroud and Josh Allen. 50% quarterbacks, 10 and 10. And I forced exposure to Kyren Williams, and I did barely make money. I made like $30.
Yeah,
I'm
I did
like,
a 20
the
max
fuck?
too, and that's the one I went CJ, heavy CJ. I had Kyren
And I
Williams.
went Nico Collins. And I went Nico. I don't get it. I ended up with I think one of the reasons is I had no exposure.
Brad's pick, Ramondre Stevenson.
I had
His
him.
start of the week.
That was your
Brad's
start?
of the week. Ramondre,
I had
one of his start of the
a
week.
whole. I think he
Yeah.
was my
I had
second
a
highest
feeling
owned
on
running
that
back.
one that it just
was my second highest.
The way the flow of the game, the predicted flow of the game, and just the fact that there wasn't a secure quarterback to feel confident about, you're gonna go to that run game, and sure enough, it was the only thing, or the running back.
He
and,
spoke that
so
into existence.
happy it was able
They
to get
benched
people
Mac that game, right?
He was benched, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
he was
forget-
benched.
They benched him the game before.
Bailey
He didn't
Zappi.
start. Bailey Zappi started, and they can't.
Yeah, it didn't
They can't
matter.
just keep giving. They just keep giving. I ran the Giant. That was my pick. Was the Giants' damn defense, and I got 14 points with them.
Yeah, I was all
Yeah,
over
he was
Steve.
calling
I also
that.
had a lot of Derrick Henry because I liked his matchup and he was low owned.
Yeah, I
But
like that
I didn't
matchup.
have any
Yeah.
Fryermuth at all. I think that's the only
I
player I did not have in
I
any of my
didn't
lineup.
call Fryermuth. I called
I didn't do
Deontay
that.
Johnson, and it didn't flow to him. Unfortunately, I knew
Didn't he
someone was going
catch
to
one,
pop.
but they was like called back? I think he caught one. It was called back.
but it was
I think so.
220.66 points with Josh Allen, Kyren Williams, Jamal Ford.
He said 220.66.
220.66.
That's a low milli winner, boy. Hey, what have they
I
been all
thought the
season?
same thing.
250 and
Like
260 and
250. Yeah.
yeah, 220 is low.
Wow.
When I won all that money, mine was like 220, and it was a low week, and that's
Jerome
crazy
Ford,
right there.
Rashee Rice, a pass catcher from Kansas
Add
City,
him.
finally showed up because they finally decided to catch the ball. Nico Collins. I had some Nico. I actually put him in one of my lineups this week in season long, and that paid off. I had Tank in the 12-man and set Nico in that one, and ran out Nico in the 10-man, and I ended up winning them both. So shout out to Brad and I both in the 10-man at 8-4 at the top of each division, and then in the 12-man. Brad is fringe playoff. He went from number 1 seed to fringe playoff team, and I went from bottom of the barrel to the best team in the league. So,
at this point, you just need to play a Houston wide receiver in every line.
And guess who has all of them?
Cody went and snagged them all. Then it's
Noah Brown, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins, and Dalton Schultz. All of them.
Where the fuck is Noah Brown at? What's his injury?
He's been questionable with it's a leg, like a knee, something like that. He'll probably be back this week though. So they went Nico, Calvin Ridley with the bring back against Nico, which he didn't pair Josh Allen with a pass catcher. Fryermuth at 2.9% owned. Brad's call at Stevenson, and then the Panthers defense, which didn't do anything, and I think that was a cap
That's
casualty.
3 running backs, right? I heard that right. He went out 3.
Kyren,
3 running backs.
Kyren, Ford, and
Robinson.
Stevenson.
Wow.
Oh, it was Ford.
That was
I
what
had
cracked
Ford.
the code.
I thought it was Robinson.
Remember we got that question the other night, Brad, about Ford, and I told the guy, I was like, I think it was Dylan or Chandler, one of the two. I was like, hey guys, you gotta start Ford. Because that's all they've got.
I sent you my FanDuel lineup, dude. I had Ford, I had Kyren, I had Allen, I had Nico, I had Kirk instead of Ridley. I'm like, dude, like I couldn't have lined it up. And I only do 1 entry on FanDuel. I was handpicked, 1 entry, couldn't have been closer with all of it, dude. But there's no way, like I could go back in time, and there's no way I get the Fryermuth. Like that dude is.
I just didn't predict it either. I didn't see it. I just didn't see it, and that happens. You know,
yeah,
you didn't see the game flow going. To him.
I said that was probably a good play with that bounce back type
like
game.
4 catches for like 45 yards or something.
If that, like 4
I just
targets,
didn't
2
see
catches.
that.
9 receptions for 120.
That's sick, dude.
And so
everybody's gonna be on him this week, and he's not gonna do. She's gonna go back to 4 targets, 3 receptions, 38 yards, and a fumble.
Had this eerie feeling.
Smoke everybody,
right?
And then we went to from that guy number 1. Number 2 was 220.16, so a half a point separated first place from second place. So that's a half yard. That's not even a full catch. So
those are the ones. I know that
same on FanDuel.
I know you win money, but it's still. I'm sure you're like, you can't.
No, it's a difference of 900,000, bro. Like you're hyped. You won $100,000. Don't get me wrong, but you're over here like, are you fucking kidding me? $900,000 more dollars because the ref lined the ball up a half a yard short when it should have been up there, or my guy caught the ball for 8 yards, but there was a flag and it came back. Like that's that type of shit that haunts you, even though you get paid. And you're like, dude, it was like me, dude. I was up there making all that money and like, I'm happy I won, but at the same time, I was pissed off that Garoppolo gets sacked and fumbles the ball with a minute left in the game. Like, you can't be making this shit up, dude. Like, there's a minute left in the game. Just hold the ball, go down. You already lost. You're down by like 2 scores. You're just forcing shit at this point. You just fucked my money up.
Yeah, so
You guys saying the same thing.
This guy had Allen, Kyren again. He went Derrick Henry, the Derrick Henry play, who was
all over Derrick Henry.
27% owned. So he was kind of high in the millie. Greg Dortch. I called Greg Dortch again, didn't I, Brad? I said, Greg, if you want to get some exposure to somebody from Arizona in that Rams Arizona game, because we talked about it was 45 points over under. I said, get you some Greg Dortch. Get you some fucking Greg Dortch.
I think he was like my 3rd highest owned receiver too. I was hyped. Didn't he catch like the first touchdown?
Yeah,
I'm like,
what?
Store
and
I see it.
He had 3 receptions. 3 receptions. One was a receiving touchdown for 27 fucking yards. That's it. That's all he needed. This guy, and literally, this guy
was like the first
$100,000 richer. Oh,
he was in my cash lineup.
Drew, you totally missed that conversation. We just had a 20 minute conversation about that shit. Yes, and I said it was a shit show. My man Brad over here.
They were bad.
Jags fan.
It was bad. We felt a little way about that interception because we felt that Ingram got pulled a little bit, which allowed the interception to happen. Then they tried to pay it back a little bit later and gave us a couple calls that probably really were just
that fucking Tank Dell catch was a fucking catch. That dude's tiny ass feet touching the sideline. You can see the white stripe. I've seen it a million times. He's posted it all over Instagram. I mean, all over Facebook and everything a million times. Them bright ass red shoes, and you can't. And you don't even talk about it. I don't even talk about it no more. So, he got Greg Dortch, Nico Collins again, Calvin Ridley. Trey McBride, again, who's been super high owned, 25%. And he paired Josh Allen. He paired Josh Allen with Gabe Davis, who went in his 3-week sleep and came back. So he's done this 3-week shit. He goes 3 weeks and then has a game. 3 weeks and has a game.
I had 20% of Gabe Davis, dude. I because I had 50% Josh Allen. I didn't go all Diggs. I did Diggs. I went
Khalil Shakir.
I did Khalil Shakir and I did Gabe Davis, but because I had 50%, I wanted to have all of them because I figured he was gonna have a big game and that one of them motherfuckers is gonna eat. And then 2 of them.
And then Broncos defense, who I guess Vance Joseph's defense there in Denver is just like, all right, I couldn't be a head coach, but I could damn sure be a defensive coordinator. When I got safeties like Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, who's out here murdering people and getting fines and kicked out of games and shit. So, they had 16 points, 4 sacks, 3 defensive fumble recoveries, and a safety.
I think we've been on point with the defenses lately. I think I had different defenses this week, but they go for over 10 point scores.
I ran out Broncos defense this week myself also. In my
I had the Patriots on the season long on both my teams. They did pretty well for making.
I had the Browns.
Scare me, dude, because they lose points in fantasy if like special team scores on them, or and that scares me with Matt Jones throwing these damn interceptions because if their defense scores, it takes points from Patriots defense, and I'm like, the fuck is going on, man? Special teams block something or something, they score, and then you got 3 points on defense now, and you're like, this is ridiculous.
So, where number 3, the third place team, had 219.16, so a full point between, so one catch between, or 10 yards, whichever way you want to cut it, between second and third, and basically a half of 1 point and 1.5, so a 10 yards or 15 yards or a catch and a 5 yards, whatever you want to go between first and third. So where we've seen these gulfs over the last few weeks or a couple weeks where there was ginormous gulfs between first, second, third, fourth. First, second, and third are only separated by 1.5 points. So third was a Josh Allen, Isaiah Pacheco, who was high owned at 23%. Kyren again. He went Jacoby Myers at 0.7%. Nobody saw that because Jacoby Myers has been disappearing, and
He
then
went away.
he
Yeah.
disappeared, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs just gave up a shit ton of touchdown or a shit ton of like at first 14 points, and I saw them down 14-0, and I'm like, what am I watching right now? Where did Chiefs defense go? And Rashee Rice, he did do the Gabe Davis stack. His tight end was David Njoku, and he did have Trey McBride. So he ran 2 tight ends and a Titans defense. So I had a majority Titans defense. And then 4th place, another half a point difference. CJ Stroud. So there's your first quarterback difference. Quarterback CJ, Pacheco, Kyren. Here's a new one. Michael Pittman. I had Michael Pittman in my Millie. Nico. So there was your Nico pair, and he brought it back with Ridley and Ingram and Freiermuth, and then had your Patriots defense there for the 6 sacks and defensive fumble recovery. So
I don't know how the fuck people got the Freiermuth, dude. That's
1.5 points.
Stretch.
1.5 points separate, or actually 1.6 points, I guess. 1.6 points separated this guy from $1 million. 25,000 from $1 million. So this guy in first is $1 million richer than this guy in fourth over.
It's literally a
1.6.
penalty. It's a penalty.
16 yards.
It's only
That's
a
it.
penalty, dude.
Yeah.
A catch for 5 yards called back due to holding right there. The penalty. Sick.
I mean, I'm just looking right now, 50, 48, 58. He could have, I'm just saying, I'm trying to see somewhere in my head here where he could have got different and made that difference up. Here we go. Here's his difference. This guy could have won. He would have won. He would have beat this guy. He would have substituted out Michael Pittman for Rashee Rice, and he beats the first place guy by like 3 points. And he would have saved $1,300.
Imagine if he did that when he was making his lineup, had Rashee Rice, and then realized he had $1,300 left over and was like, where can I upgrade? Oh, I can get Pittman.
Yeah.
Shot himself in the foot, because people do that all the time. It's common DFS. They
Yep.
see money left over and they're like, oh, I can upgrade somebody.
And
Instead
then
of just
max out.
playing who you originally liked. Like, you like this person, leave them in there.
I mean, I was looking into on DraftKings. I don't know if you've noticed, Phil, like when you see, like the numbers out to the side, like the names and stuff actually on the computer, not on the app, on the phone, how guys have or players have a number out next to their name in parentheses. Have you seen that before? Okay. So I was Googling. I was like, I don't see it on the phone. What the fuck does that mean? Well, apparently that tells you how many entries that player had in that lineup. That's supposedly what that
contest.
Yes, yeah. So the guy that won first had 1. So if he doesn't have a parentheses out next to him, they have 1.
Sick.
The second place guy had 4. The third place guy had 66, and the fourth place guy had 14 lineups.
That's a lot of money.
If this is true to what that actually means, and that's what I saw on Google, and that's what apparently that it said on
well, they all profited, but 66 entries at $20 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, just that
$1,200, right?
Yeah, 10 entries is $200. So,
That's $1,200.
He's putting it out there. Yeah, $1,200 in there. It costs, I think, like $3,000 to max it. So he probably been maxing it and losing, and all he could afford was 66 this week, and it just fucking paid off. I mean,
Yeah,
just
$1,200. I mean, he profited. He profited. What's for that 40,000 minus 1,200?
38,800.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah,
And I can't do math right now.
It's all that
So,
alcohol.
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's
let's
beer.
go
Drink
into
a beer.
tomorrow's game. The big shot, Dallas
We have
at
to.
home. Are they at home?
Yes.
Yeah, at home against the Dirty Birds. I guess they're not the Dirty Birds. I guess the Eagles would be the Dirty Birds, but the Seattle
The
Seahawks.
Dirty Birds are Falcons, man.
Welcome.
The Falcons
Whatever,
are doing the
dude.
Dirty
How many
Birds, man.
damn birds? All right,
The
hunting
Hawks.
season. It's hunting
Hawks.
season. It's hunting
Hawks.
season for the Saints. We got to get that back. But Dallas Cowboys at home against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes, Drew. Yes, Drew. Yes, Drew. Yes. Yes, they are. Our QBs for both NY teams, the Bears and the Vikings, trash to draft. If not Kirk Cousins, yes, it is. And
Justin Fields has been some doo-doo.
Yeah, and I figured this out. Josh Dobbs, I think I jinxed him. I'm trying to will him into existence to come to the podcast because I'm trying to reach out that NASA branch, and ever since I've been paying attention to him and they've been giving him all this touting as the pastronaut, I just feel like it's killing him. Like straight 4 interceptions in the last couple games. Yeah. It's all over NASA, bro. Like here, not specifically, but everywhere else, yes.
Are there any injuries to note in this Dallas game?
Yes. So we will probably be without Kenny Walker III. So he is doubtful with an oblique injury. The Seahawks will be without a guard, so that obviously.
I just want to say I called it when I said Zach Charbonnet or whatever wasn't going to do shit, and everybody was all over him. I did call that, so let me point that out.
Questionable. Leonard Williams, the defensive end, is questionable, so that could hurt the pass rush. And Will Disley, will I take all of the catches down in the end zone, red zone area from you when you really need it to go to Noah Fant or DK Metcalf? Is questionable with a hip injury.
All right. So, with that said, Dallas should probably significantly dominate this game. But it's primetime game. So, for some reason, it might not play to Dak and CD Lamb just fucking trampling everybody. This might be that little Pollard game I was talking about that hasn't happened yet. That's at least who I'm thinking for this for my captain tomorrow.
I think Witherspoon, the cornerback for Seattle, the rookie, is a fairly good cornerback. I expect him to match up fairly well against what CeeDee Lamb the skill set has to offer. So that may detract a little bit from sort of those super explosive numbers, but I'm sure in this type of a lineup, though, you might want to still stay chalkier on your Dallas options tomorrow. It feels more like a chalkier type of game where you'll see your more star-style players, but also like Cooks, in that he might get that touchdown tomorrow instead of CD just due to the coverage.
I like that. He used to be like one of my favorite players when he was on the Saints.
He's starting to come alive. He had that real deep passive, not last week, the week before. He's starting to hit that Brandon Cook style.
Yeah, he scored on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay.
He was also in my big lineup, my big winner lineup, when he was on Houston and got me like 3 or 4 touchdowns that game. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it might even be one of those types of games where you can get different, maybe even go with a defense. I really like the Dallas defense versus Geno.
Especially the way Seattle been playing. Yeah, dude, I like that.
They just haven't been as on point and sharp offensively as they were at the beginning of the year. Maybe the teams have gotten figured out.
You can't count them.
Maybe even like Avante Turpin might get you a touchdown in this game. Dude's been getting like 7% of the targets going on in these games.
Him and Jalen Tolbert both, yeah.
Yeah, Tolbert's getting a little more, 12%, but I feel like I keep seeing Turpin.
Is a down on Charbonnet, but that might also still be an option. Coming back, getting a little different on the other side. I mean, with no Walker, he's going to get at least some carries. May be able to sneak in a 1-yard touchdown.
Well, that's about the only way you can do it. That's about the only way you can neutralize. I'm gonna keep saying this. You're a great edge rusher in Micah Parsons, and keep Geno from throwing fucking pick sixes to Deron Bland, who has broke the fucking record. Deron Bland has more touchdowns than Travis Kelce, DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams. Like,
Crazy.
He has 5 this year, and I heard a stat the other day that Deion Sanders, primetime Deion, had 9 total pick sixes in his whole career. Deron Bland has 5.
It's hard to come by. There's a lot. I mean, it's really a rare occurrence, truly. Really hard to come by.
This last game, though,
he's reading the shit out of plays, man. He's he's a little beast.
I'm starting to worry, though. Well, not worry, but wonder, is it the scheme driven more so too? Because this is the same thing we kind of saw from Diggs last year. Dan
Quinn. We know. Where
is his scheme more so than it is?
What did Dan Quinn do? What is Dan Quinn famous for? Dan Quinn was on a Legion. He was a Legion of Boom. Defensive coordinator or he was the defensive backs coach.
He was on
while Gus Bradley was the defensive coordinator. And then when Gus Bradley took the Jacksonville job, Dan Quinn became the defensive coordinator. And then when he left to become the Atlanta coach, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, he knows how to work with defensive backs, and his scheme still works. That scheme still works because he took it to I think a little bit another level over where Gus Bradley, he's still around. He's a defensive coordinator for the Colts, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying, it works, but I think Dan Quinn's version of it works better. Dan Quinn's a hell of a
more man schemes into it than it is more officially that cover 3 zone concept. So I think when you add in more man concepts to match the zone 3. It creates a more of a disguised look, and that's why I'm thinking too that's where they're catching these quarterbacks kind of sleeping a little bit, as they're thinking it's more of your 3 drop back coverage, zone 3, when in actuality it's man, so they can drive those routes.
And like I said, that's where I was going with, like, Charbonnet is about the only way you're going to be able to neutralize that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to run the ball. And until if Dallas gets out into and this is a horse race, no pun intended, but like that's about the only way you're going to be able to do it, to neutralize that or keep the ball on the offside of the field from Bland and go away from him the whole time. And that sucks when you have to go away from a corner because you're so gun shy from throwing to him.
Who's he going to be covering? Is he going to be covering Metcalf or Lockett?
Bland said he's a side corner.
Isn't he
too.
One side.
He's just like a lot of the corners now. So it's really going to depend on what side of the ball, which side of the field they're playing to, in whichever formation. I mean, if they're in obviously a split set he'll take the number 1, obviously more of the intermediary type number 1 style routes on that side of the field, but he's not going, these corners nowadays don't trot to the other side of the field. So that's what I'm saying. So it's really more, he's a number 1 corner, but he's going to be on the side, whichever side, whoever lines up over there. He's not going to be in the slot 90% of the time. He's an outside corner. So he's going to be whichever one lines up on the outside.
I think he's going to be on Metcalf more.
So,
which makes Lockett a very good play. If you can figure out who he's going to be on more,
Jackson
it's going to make
Smith and Jigba. I know I've been
JSN. I like JSN in this.
JSN. I think 3 or 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. They're getting them involved. I kind of see Metcalf kind of getting X'd out of the equation a little bit, opening up for Lockett. Maybe
I've seen Metcalf dropping shit that I don't think he should be dropping.
He's been dealing with injuries, so that's part of it as well. He's not been having the fantasy year, though. I thought coming from last year, it's just not been the same performance fantasy-wise.
Also, Geno's not either, so. I mean,
Yeah, he's been a little hurt too, Geno, but Geno's kind of playing more like he played the previous years than what he did last year. But I just like more of the not necessarily the stars tomorrow for Seattle, but sort of your three, your Jackson Smith and Jigba, maybe a little
what's
Charbonnet, maybe a tight end to get a little different. I say get different on the Seattle side,
Ferguson.
go chalky on the Dallas side, kind of mix that up, maybe mix and match that a little bit, stack it up, and run with that for your lineup tomorrow. From a season long perspective, again, if you need a different player here and there for a week, you got some players out due to buys. I know the Ravens are out. That's Jackson Smith and Jigba play. Could be a nice little receiver play that can get you 10 to 15 tomorrow.
I like that. I like the Ferguson play and Disley take all the touchdowns play.
well, he's
I feel like I like
Disley's questionable, so-
JSN better on FanDuel though. That touchdown upside on FanDuel is nicer than probably his price associated with just like a catch or two, and a touchdown might not do it on DraftKings. Where somebody like Lockett can get you lots of targets.
You know what? You know something that keep an eye on? I'm gonna tell you somebody to keep an eye on tomorrow. Keep a fucking eye on if Martavis Bryant shows up out on the field tomorrow. If Martavis Bryant, Phil, do you remember who Martavis Bryant? I know Brad does. You remember Martavis Bryant played for the Steelers?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's on Dallas.
He is on Dallas now. My man is out here. Looks like he had DeAndre Hopkins and fucking Derrick Henry mixed genetics together and made a wide receiver. Yeah, I saw him on the sideline on Thanksgiving, and I was like, Jesus Christ, he's so fucking big. Like, he's like the size of DK. Like, DK
he's only
Metcalf.
200. He's only 200.
And that's what I'm saying. So, like,
I did something like that in the Eagles game. I picked Julio, but he didn't do shit. But it's worth it, man. When they're 200,
it was worth
and it's Showdown. They advertise. I was like, maybe they'll advertise Julio's bitch ass. They didn't. But maybe they advertised Martavis Bryant. I think I remember him breaking slates on Showdown. Games.
He's done that. He's done that before. I mean, he's one of those big type possession style receivers, and what's his name? Turpin and Tolbert were kind of banged up a little bit, and they said that he might get some playing time. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't go hard on him, but I mean, if you got to get somebody in there at 200 and they say that he's suiting up tomorrow on DraftKings, he is somebody I would just keep my eye on, just for the simple fact of the matter is it only takes one at 200. And that man is a big body down in the red zone. And he played in the XFL this last year, so he's not been out of football the whole time. He played in the XFL, and he was still making big catches and big grabs. I mean, it's not, like I said, he's not been sitting on the couch. So he's been working out. He's there, and he's still got the only reason he got kicked out of football is because he couldn't leave the weed alone. That's why he got kicked out. And so
your boy Bobo might make a show up tomorrow. I know you've been all over the Bob.
I mean,
I a little Bobo touchdown in there tomorrow.
It could be a Bobo touchdown,
and especially if Will Disley is out tomorrow. I mean, it's still showing us questionable. If there's no Will Disley, I think Jack Bobo's essentially a fucking tight end. He's a tight end tomorrow.
I think I like the best player I like on Seattle tomorrow is their kicker. I think they're going to struggle to score. They're going to struggle to score against Dallas's defense if they get to the red zone. Now, if they break one off or something like that's different. But like if they get to the red zone, they're going to struggle to score. So I like him.
You want to talk about kicker? That fucking kicker for Dallas, dude. He's lethal. That kid is lethal.
Yeah, but I see them scoring easily on Seattle. So I don't know if I love him as much as Seattle's kicker, but Seattle might also throw a wrench in their kicker tomorrow and be like, we're not going to win kicking field goals. So I'm not kicking any field. I'm just going for it every fourth down and fuck everybody's money up that plays the kicker. So that's also a possibility.
I mean, it's inside, so there shouldn't be any issues with weather or anything. So it'll be, I don't know. I just don't. This will be the first. This is the first team with a winning record that Dak has played in since they got their ass kicked by the 49ers. So we'll see if it's Dak, if it's the scheme, or if it was just a bunch of garbage that he's been playing against. I mean, teams that don't have a quarterback, teams that fired their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. So
Dallas is favored by 9.5 in this.
9.5.
Wow. A 9.5 spread. Wow.
They want you to bet on Dallas.
Even more
man.
confident with
That's they want you to bet on Dallas. Dude. That might have to go with Seattle on that. I don't want to, but
I like Dallas tomorrow for 10. I could see
at 9.5. They want you to be like, 10 can win.
27-17 tomorrow. I can see that. Yeah, I'll take the
9 even.
Dallas in the 9.
47.5.
I'm gonna go with Seattle. Only because I think the 9.5 is a setup. If it wasn't bad, like if it was like 14, if it was 14.5, I'd be on Cowboys. I don't know why. Just because that would scream to me like, they're gonna dominate. But this 9.5 is like, temper your expectations, buddy.
ESPN.
We're gonna give this one to Seattle. We're gonna give this one to Seattle.
ESPN bet saying 9 even.
Yeah, it's 9.5 exactly. They might win by. I mean, I got Dallas winning. They probably win by like 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 just to piss everybody off. They're like, motherfucking spread was 9. It just won by 8. Or people like me that get it at 9.5. Yeah, they win by 9. They're up by fucking 10, and then Seattle's got 30 seconds on the clock, kicks a field goal, didn't try for an onside kick, and they only win by 7. And
I can tell you one thing: this damn game's gonna be way heads and tails better than that shit I watched on Monday night.
Who played Monday? I already forgot.
The fucking NFL puts another Viking, another Chicago, another Chicago Bears game on prime time. I'm just gonna quit. I'm just like, why? Why? You couldn't have flexed the Houston and the Jacksonville game to that?
They're afraid to flex.
Or you could have flexed the fucking Philly and the Bills game to that.
I think they were more worried about Jaguars looking like shit. Like
all they see is the Chicago market. All they see is the Chicago market. That's
Jack's gonna be 9-3 after fucking Monday. Fucking Browns are not. I mean, the Bengals are not beating the Jaguars with Jake Browning at quarterback. I am sorry.
Jake Browning.
I don't see that.
It's in Jacksonville, so I expect to see you motherfuckers on TV. Be like, Bills will be like, you fucking suck, Trevor Lawrence. You suck, bitch.
I think I'm gonna try to go to the. I think it's like December 14th, 17th, something like that. It's a nighttime game. I think I want to go to that. Nighttime games are dope.
Well, this is a night on Monday night, and then what do y'all get the Sunday? It's a Sunday night game against the Ravens,
Sunday
right?
Night. Yeah.
Sunday night against the Ravens?
That's the one.
That's who it is. That's the one I'm going to go to, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. That one should be good, too. Jags
I'll be in there wearing a Saints jersey, yelling out, who that? And everybody thinks I'm yelling out Duval, but I'm not. I mean, it's like, who that? And they're like, Duval. Nope. Saints, baby.
Yeah, well, I think Dallas wins. I think they pick up 9 just because maybe
it's entertainment. Seattle's going to make it a game. I mean, the Redskins made it a game till 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then they were just like, all right, guys, everybody's go to sleep and let Dallas destroy us for another 40 points real quick. Like, in 6 minutes. They were only up by 10 going into the fourth.
I think this could be – I think that they might fumble on prime time. That could fumble on prime time. There ain't no turkey legs for him to pull out the red kettle, and that's probably been sitting there for –
probably going to be a Pollard game. It's going to be a lot of running.
Get out
in front. I think you can run on Seattle.
Yeah, I could also see a Pollard game.
Let me see. Seattle allows more through the air than the run, but For some reason, I'm just seeing like
There's
Powell.
no Leonard Williams to help out in the run game tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's questionable,
That's
so it's
one
not.
thing there.
Rico Dowdle getting a touchdown last week too.
Yeah.
Rico Dowdle. Yeah, watch out for a lineup that has Pollard and Rico in it, winning this motherfucking money tomorrow.
Yep.
What's funny is that we all went away from Michael Gallup, and he got a couple catches during that.
I just can't get to Gallup no more. I used to like getting to him because, especially prime times, not many people went to him. But when Brandon Cook's there, he just like takes all of
it.
It's like I'm saying, like
they're the same receiver. They get treated like the same receiver. And
Cooks is just faster.
It hurts Gallup.
Yeah.
When that happens.
To be honest, I look at Cooks like a Tyreek Hill. That type of speed. He's always deep downfield. He's always beating the coverage. I just feel like he doesn't get seen enough. I think they even showed last week where they're like, dude, Brandon Cooks was wide open for a touchdown. And he just didn't see it. Like, if I'm quarterback, that's who I'm looking at, is the fastest player on the field.
Crying ass bitch. He's a crying ass bitch is what he is. I hope you heard it too, Brandon Cooks. You're a crying ass bitch.
He didn't want to play with your bum ass Watson.
He wanted to play with Watson. That was the problem. And Watson was over here getting handies from masseuses. He didn't want to play with David Neck Mills. And I wouldn't want to play with him.
Yeah, I mean, Watson hit him for like 3-4 touchdowns that one game.
1,000 yards. He had 1,000 yards with Deshaun Watson.
That goes to show is Brandon Cooks making Watson look good. It wasn't Watson making Cooks look good because Cooks did it in New Orleans. He's doing it in Dallas. He did it there. He's doing it everywhere. That's
of course. I was never a Watson fan. You can ask Brad. I didn't like it.
Now Watson comes back and he can't do shit because he don't have Cooks. I mean, it's easy to throw 1,000 yards when your guy's running a fucking 3-3 out there, dog.
Yeah,
can't nobody catch him.
He had DeAndre Hopkins. He had DeAndre Hopkins with us. He had Brandon Cooks.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Hopkins
all pro receivers
as good as they thought he was, man.
Yeah,
he's now on a team. Hopkins. Who's playing Hopkins? People are benching him.
Well, Hopkins is on Tennessee.
Yeah.
And, again, you get what you said earlier. He can't throw the ball to himself.
Yeah, I mean, but you put him somewhere else, he might shine.
He was good with Kyler, and then Kyler got hurt, and a quarterback can't get him the ball, so.
I don't know.
There it is.
I still like Tannehill though. He was my quarterback when I won big.
Tannehill needs to
can't knock him. Yeah, I agree.
Coach. He's done.
So does Drew Brees. Drew Brees should be like a quarterback coach. He should be a quarterback coach.
My man's got franchises. He owns a restaurant here down the street from my house.
He's also commentating, or he was. Did he quit commentating?
Yeah, he did. After he got struck by lightning.
He got struck by lightning.
Did you not see that commercial? No, that commercial, like he was doing like commercials for this like betting service, and basically in the commercial, it looked like he was outside and it was storming and shit, and it looked like he literally got struck by lightning in real life, and they played it up that he got fucking like destroyed by lightning, like, and people were like mourning him, like people went through like the full phases of grief because he like went dark for like a day or two because people thought that my man had fucking disintegrated,
literally died.
Yeah, they played it off as he got fucking like zapped by Shazam and like just like gone.
He's just popping out babies and banging the bait, counting his stacks.
That's Phillip Rivers who's doing that.
Yeah, dude's got like 20 kids. He's catching up to Nick Cannon.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers got 10. Ryan Fitzpatrick has got like 10.
All it takes is for like one of Nick Cannon's sons to meet one of Phillip Rivers' daughters and start a family, and now they got the biggest family in the world, dude. Just like that. Show up at their house on Christmas, and they have to rent out like the entire football stadium just for people to hang out.
Ryan Fitzpatrick got 10, like 8 or 9, 10 kids, and Phillip Rivers got 10 kids. And then I'm just like, how can you do that?
You making all these millions and you're not home taking care of them. You don't give a fuck.
Antonio Cromartie has like 10 kids. Like
they're
these
not at home
players.
taking care of them. They got nannies. They got their baby mama at home. They're outside playing football, making millions. They're like, fuck it, I'll keep giving you babies. Yeah. I got the money to support them.
I need tax write-off. I need that tax write-off. So
yeah, I mean that's what Nick Cannon's doing. Dude's putting babies in bitches that he doesn't even plan to be with. Like, there's a girl on this fucking Selling Sunset show my girl watches. She's a real estate agent. She has his newest baby is with her, and she's like, yeah, we were never dating. Like, we knew what it was going into it, that he was gonna put a baby in me.
I'm just gonna repopulate the world.
Yeah, and I'm over here like that. In my mind, that makes her look bad because you're already immediately starting a family, knowing that this kid's dad ain't gonna be in his life. You're already starting a broken family on purpose. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
That's your family. That's your family law coming out in you.
Yeah, family law does come out on me a lot. I be telling clients.
That's all that matters.
Tell them.
Is that they get money. That's all that matters.
Well, I guess we can hang it up at that. We appreciate everybody hanging out. Come check us out on Saturday. We might have a interesting, at least on Saturday, interesting episode. I will be at Disney. Brad will be at Disney. We might be together doing the episode. Who knows? We ain't figured it out yet. Phil might decide he wants to show up at Disney. I don't know. We might just be all in the same room. I don't know. We
had a bar talking,
working it and figuring it out. So, but we will catch you guys on Saturday, and that's it.
Peace. Adios.
Peace.
Ciao. Hasta luego.
Hasta mañana.